How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory. Hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far. If you guys have, you guys do smash that like button if you haven't done so already. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. And hopefully the video doesn't stutter too much, because Satisfactory has been having some issues. Anyway, as you can see, quite a lot of work has been done this last week. Primarily with, well, a resource highway, where we're going to be putting smart plating, the highway system, that is some rough staggering or stuttering, some resource stuff over there. We upgraded power, we got blueprints, and we even have steel. So a lot of what's gone on this week primarily has had to do with well, I've had extra time to play this week, but also we've had, I've had two little gophers. One of the gophers isn't actually playing. He played like for 6 minutes, and my other gopher, he got a lot of stuff done. He actually mainly got steel done, which has facilitated our construction of the highway. And then now I've actually just been working on getting rid of spaghetti belts, like that, and replacing them with nice, neat runs of resource belts here. So what I'm doing is based on what we currently have available to us. We currently have Mark II miners, as well as we have access to Mark III belt. So I've been going around and attaching all the resource nodes in an area. Primarily we're focusing on iron and copper. However, I think I'm going to add in things like the limestone, like right there's a limestone node over there, and then I think we're going to add in any coal or anything else we find. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take it all the way over, and then it's going to go over there because there's actually a nice little flat area. And if we look at the topology map here, there's a flat area here, and there's a big flat area here. So this is all basically on the same level. So similar to over here, how we have a decent-ish area to work with. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a big smelting complex over here where we're going to basically handle most, if not all, of the smelting on the map, with maybe some exceptions, because there might be, because right now I think what we're going to do is we're going to handle all of the smelting for this northeastern region. So basically from about down here, and then just handle all the nodes here, because all the nodes in this area aren't clumped. So that is why I'm doing these resource highways like this instead of using trains or even tractors, because the highway up there is to facilitate tractors, and I do have a tractor going from way over there for coal to bring it back for our power situation. I know a lot of people will have different opinions on whether or not to use tractors, trains, or belts, and I kind of want to use all three. I don't want to just use one method or another. Currently, we don't have access to trains, otherwise I would maybe start dabbling in them. But there are a crap ton of resources, as you can see just from here, and then as we start building more nodes. And so I could have a tractor station for each of these, but I would find that quite tedious to try to program, because they are a pain to get working. Like, just getting one working is fine. It's once I start adding multiple that it becomes an issue. So what I'm going to do is have this region of the map all belted, all belt based, with some tractors here and there. Like, to me, a tractor for coal here makes sense because of where it's going. It very well could have also just been a train route. Perfectly fine. If I had trains unlocked, that'd be fine. Tractor makes sense. Coal, because the way I look at it for determining if something should be belt, vehicle, or train transported is depending on where it's going and what its use is. For me, coal, at least this coal here, is going to power. So I want all of this coal to go to power. I don't want it to go anywhere else. So for me, it's a stagnant run, so I could be belted. However, if you have a node, say this coal was more than enough for power, and say you had some excess and you wanted to use some of that excess for steel, well, then having it be a node that isn't fixed, like these belts, well, then it could just be as simple as, oh, well, let me add a tractor or a truck to that run, or, maybe let me add a train to that run that goes to that station. Where trains make sense in my mind are where I might have all of my iron ore, so in this big pipeline, go to a station. Well, it might be going to plates, it might be going off to steel, it might be going somewhere else, and it might be getting carried a plethora of places. However, in my mind, the ore doesn't make sense to really do that with, because it's going to one of two places. It's either being turned into ingots, or it's being turned into, well, I'm only just thinking of iron, so I guess it's all being turned into ingots, but it's essentially all going to one place. So in my mind, having all the ore go to a centralized ingot warehouse that we can just progressively scale up. And then I want to dot factories around the map just to kind of explore the map in its entirety, because quite frankly, we could get away with just building everything here and then bring all the resources up to the northeast and then never really see the map. But I don't really want that. I want long, complex production chains. So I want that nice all around the map train route that we can take, and it's like, okay, well, let's go investigate something. It does make dealing with diagnosing problems harder, but it's just kind of what I'm thinking. To go through some of the other changes, hopefully the video does not stutter too much. I'll try to clean up as much of it as I can post-processing. So what we have here is, I calculated, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's about 33 iron nodes in the northeast region, about 12 copper nodes, and then various like Caterium, quartz, limestone, and coal nodes. The coal, for the most part, is clumped in different areas, so it's not scattered like the other ones are. So the coal, in my mind, I'm going to exclude from my resource bus here. However, I don't know, it just depends. Like, in the northeast, it's being transported via the tractor, so I might just continue that kind of spirit of things. It really just depends. But again, I do want to use all the different modes of transporting resources around our map, just so that I kind of have a feel for it. Longer runs, obviously cross-map runs, are going to be trains. I'm not going to have a tractor for that. In my mind, that's just dumb. The throughput and the speed to try to calculate that so that I have enough tractors in transit to account for things just doesn't make sense. Anything outside of the desert, like the desert region here, this northeast desert region, is about as large of a, like, from the lower left corner to the top right corner would be about the longest run I would want a tractor to go. Any longer than that, I start to think it just becomes too tedious to try to manage the, okay, well, how many do I need in transit? How many just throughput issues? I don't want to have to deal with that. But I like little short runs like this where it's like, it's long enough that it, in my mind, doesn't justify a belt for it. Which is funny because I am building a belt highway, as can be seen here. But I currently, a train station at every single node doesn't make sense with how scattered these nodes are in the northeast. Definitely leave down in the comments below like what your guys' solutions are for when you're harvesting the resources in the northeast here on the map. Whether it's kind of doing something similar to what I'm doing, or if it's doing belt spaghetti as we had, but I'm currently trying to clean it up so it is at least a little bit nicer to look at, or if it's something else. Anyway, and yeah, I know I can stretch these power lines much further. I don't have to put them at every single thing, but I just did. I could probably skip every other one, or even every 2 or 3, but I don't know. I'm okay with using extra resources like that. That's fine. The other things to take note of, how I'm doing our tractor, and we'll take a look at it here in a second. And that's kind of our cool thing. This isn't currently hooked up, but this is just my kind of support design. I'm sure it's not the best design. I've seen better, but it's just kind of what I thought. It has a hyper tube press so that we can use it for transport. I eventually want to get into building hyperloop stations that allow us to switch to the different areas, and then just four different pipes. Currently, they're not planned for anything specifically. They're really just more decorative, but they do technically, or they can technically function if I wanted to pump something, but I don't really have a, like, okay, this one's going to be this one's going to be this one's going to be this. They're all Mark 1, so their throughput is quite limited, and yeah. Our starting area, as you guys have seen, my goal is to eventually tear it down. We've already seen the foundations far over there. That's where we're going to be putting whatchamacallit, the smart plating. We can complete phase 2 almost right now, technically. I mean, I guess technically we can make it right now, but we don't have anything automated, and I want to get those factories for those items. I don't want to make bootstrapped jumps. I want to have a smart plating factory that if we need to, we can transition away from, and then versatile framework we can transition away from if we need to, and so on and so forth. We have our concrete here. Some of the machines I've put the sloopy things in, and this one actually has power. Not fair. Maybe not. Maybe I took them out, or maybe my gopher took them out and put them into things. Anyway, this is the steel factory. He does not like building vertically. I have told this man to build vertically. He just does this crap. I don't know if he's found builds for any of this, or he's just free-handed it. I think some of it is inspired. I don't know where he got any of the designs from, or if he just Googled it, or if this is like an accepted design for things. So definitely let me know down below, but it's making the beams, pipe, and it's making the reinforced or encased steel beams over here somewhere. Yeah. We have, as we go this way, I do want to touch on our starting thing here. I did change out the foundation to the just concrete to make it look nicer, and I've also come to the decision of for anything transit based, I'm going to be building on the world grid. So for instance, this is on the world grid, the belt highway, the resource highway over there is on the world grid, and stuff like that. In my mind, makes sense to have on the world grid, just so that way I can branch off of it or connect to it much easier. However, this factory, I kept tossing and turning in my mind while I could tear it down to line up with the world grid, but doing so would mean really wonky lines to line up with the river, and I don't like that. So I think for smaller factories, or just factories in general, I'm going to build them to the contours of the map so that they look better. And then we'll just use rotational things to hopefully try to do our best to seamlessly join things together. Down here, we've already seen this before. Resources come in, iron, copper, and they go in. With our ore all going that way, it's going to go over to this oasis to the east, and we're going to make all our ingots over here. This is at least going to be our ingot factory for this region. I don't know if we're going to have one in every region or every like cluster of nodes. I just know that this area of the map has such polka dot resource nodes that it doesn't make sense for me to be like, okay, well, these 10 iron nodes here, they're all clumped together, we'll just build a factory right next to it, and then we'll export it. Or we'll just smelt it and then export it. I would do that in other areas of the map, and we have done that in our single-player world. However, in at least this region, it just makes sense for me to put everything in one area, and I'm going to do that over here. Have hopefully a fairly large area to scale up into, and then export the ingots back west from this location over back to us, and then we'll take those ingots in. So we're gonna inevitably get rid of all of these smelters on this first floor. We're using pretty much all of the iron ones, to my knowledge, with the exception of a handful. And then copper, we're honestly not gonna touch really any of those copper ones. We just don't have enough of the alternate recipes and whatnot to really make use. Let's see. We have our ticket machine here. We've been going through just slowly burning them. Right now what I have for those is I'm using the 2 quartz nodes up top. I'm turning those into tickets. So those have slowly been grinding out tickets for us, which has been really useful. And these ones are just, we went ahead and got the clock speed and then our sloopy sloops here, so that way we can just make modular frames in here. These aren't permanent, these are just temporary. Tickets, stuff we've seen before, and then our resource nodes here, but because things aren't connected up, our nodes here are running dry. I believe that's our cable. Yeah, that's our cable machine. I'm gonna just throw some cable in there just so we know that cable does go there. But yeah, cable is in dire need of new things because I actually had the cable connected up to this and that drained all of our cable. So for now I disconnected that from these, but this is basically just the design I've been going for our little shopping mall. This building is probably gonna get mostly repurposed, if not entirely scrapped. I haven't decided what's going to be put here in its place, but we'll see. And then we've seen logistics floor, some belt squirreliness. And if we go up here, because this floor we basically pretty much filled. There is some space in here. We could stick some more constructors, but it's not really worth it. And then lastly, up here on the roof, we have a blueprint maker, and then we're making rotors and smart plates. So, or not smart plate, we're making reinforced plate rotors, and we could technically make smart plate from those if we wanted to, but I want to have a dedicated place that makes us more than like a few per minute. At least that's kind of my idea. This building, again, I don't know what we're going to turn it into. I don't know if it's going to stay here or what the eventual plan for this is, but I currently don't have one. I do know at some point I want to have a hub where I can have just all the resources, like in the game, like all of our materials that we're making in the factory. So that, like, if I need something, I don't have to go to one of the far out factories, but I haven't decided. Because, like, as cool as it would be to be like, okay, let's go journey the factory, I don't really want to have to, you know, spend 20 to 30 minutes moving around the map just to get everything to do a project. Anyway, so here's our power solution. We have 8 tubes, and I'm not going to go run out to where they go, but it's essentially just this design of we have a lot of power poles going that way. They go through this little waterway here. They go out to here, and then they get to the open ocean, and then we have a bunch of pumps out here pumping in. Each pipe, well, actually, let me rephrase. The bottom pipe and the top pipe here are connected. The reason I did that, there's only 3 pumps on them, because the Mark 1 can only move at 300 meters cubed per minute. However, 3 pumps produces 360 meters cubed per minute of water. So by having the 2 connected, I can move all 360 needed for 8 of these. This coal, this is actually not completely finished yet because I haven't made my way over here to make these runs look nice. And so essentially we have the water coming in, or falling down. It all comes in, and then our little design is basically just to get split 15 coal, 15, 15, so on, just that consumption rate. Our water comes in from that bottom one, and then we loop it down here, because really the first several machines are going to use all the water, and then this one comes down and loops in here, and so then it makes sure that these end machines are full on water, that we're never running out. I found that we can utilize that flat space here on top of the coal generator as some platforms, and bam, we can fit twice as many generators in the same area as just essentially instead of having 1, we can have 2. The only downside though is it does shift it over by about a half foundation, and so I have full foundations here. You could use a half if you want to try to consolidate it as much as possible, and then of course that just stacks and stacks and stacks. There really isn't anything over there. Let's see. We're still working on the MAM research to get different things. Same thing with the tickets. And then this building over here is actually just for Caterium. Right here. There's a pure node way up there. You can kind of start to see the top of it. So we do have a little bit of Caterium coming in, and I just have it being smelted here in ingots, and this was the most recent research I was working on. And then I haven't really decided what's going to be in this building just yet, but as you can see, I'm kind of using some slants as well as, there's some clipping, but it's not the end of the world. Just so that way I can kind of do my best to follow the contours of the map in like this river without impeding too much in the design. Like, I know part of the goal is, you know, take over the map, but I also want to kind of integrate our factory facilities into that. We still have this large area to work with that I haven't really cleared the trees out of yet, and we can probably put a fairly large facility here and then go up several layers, probably 6 or 7 levels, and so we'll have a good amount of production area here as well. But I do want to spread out kind of throughout the map, so I'm thinking we'll have some stuff here, and then as we go through and explore more and more of the map, we'll add little factories here and there, just so that way there's something in a biome, but also so that way it's like, oh, we can go explore as well as we do those things. So that's kind of just our update for the week on what's going on. I don't think we missed anything. Missed our little tour. I do want to redo the steel here just so that it is a little bit nicer in terms of land usage. Like, I like that it flows from here to over there, but I will probably vertically stack it and integrate things just because here on the riverbed it starts out pretty nice, but then by the time it gets down over there it starts to eat more of the river, and I don't really want it to. Oh, and these stacks right here, those are my gopher stacks that he decided to drop. But yeah, so I do want to figure out some nice designs to kind of like work with the river, just because I really like it in this area, and then figuring some things out. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for anything, definitely leave those down below. And my goal for next episode is to focus, hopefully, we probably won't have nearly as much work done as we had this week, just because we're gonna start slowing down a little bit more as we have to do more big infrastructure projects to get things put in place. My goal is to get things cleaned up and really just start to get more things organized and start getting us out of this starter factory that we have here and start to really get more into the bigger scale of things, of connecting map-wide things. Start thinking about, okay, let's get a rail network at the very least, start getting a highway built all the way around this desert, and then start planning, okay, well, how is it going to integrate with the rest of the map? Where are going to be good routes? Do we want something all the way on the edge? Where are the internals going to look like? Stuff like that. So those are just some of the things that I'm going to be thinking about this week. But I also have my senior design project I've been working on, so that of course is going to eat up some time in the next week, or rather this coming week. I have some things to attend to, so most of the week I really won't be able to make as much progress in this as I would like, but we shall see how much progress is made. I will probably focus next week's episode on the Ingot Factory is what I think we'll be doing. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, you guys don't too, smash that like button if you haven't already. Consider subscribing, as it helps out the channel. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns from me, leave those down below. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and peace out.